I'm Ridhima Bhatnagar. Good to see all of you. We'll be getting you all the top national and international stories over the next 60 minutes. Let's begin with our top focus. Amid his ongoing tussle with Navjot Singh Sidhu, Punjab Chief Minister Captain Amarinder Singh will be in Delhi today. He is likely to meet Congress Party Chief Sonia Gandhi. Sources are telling CNN News18 that the captain will highlight the public attacks against him by Sidhu and how that will hurt the party's prospects in the upcoming polls. Talks are also likely to be held over the cabinet reshuffle as well as the ongoing power crisis in the state. This is Captain's, remember, second visit to the capital in 3 weeks. Last time he was snubbed by the Gandhis. Incidentally, when Sidhu visited the capital, both Rahul and Priyanka met him. So now we're getting an inside track of what we are picking up from our sources of what could possibly be discussed between the Gandhis and Captain Amarinder Singh. As we said, this meeting very crucial because Sidhu's public attacks continue, and the last time around the captain was in the national capital, he didn't really have a one-on-one meeting. First is, of course, he will raise the recent public attacks against him by none other than Navjot Singh Sidhu and talk about how this will be damaging for the Congress party's image as well, not just domestically for Punjab, but on the national level as well. Remember, there is a lot in terms of organizational changes that needs to be discussed as well. So we're picking up those details as well, that also could be discussed between Captain Amarinder Singh and the Gandhis in terms of the organizational changes, various roles, plans for the state, because this is a state that's up for polls. There is a power crisis that's playing out as well. May object to larger role for Sidhu. As we've been pointing out, the Navjot Singh Sidhu has also made his stand clear. He said, I do not want to be the Deputy Chief Minister. This is what we're picking up from our sources. Then what could the role be given, and how do you ensure that this back and forth between Captain and Navjot Singh Sidhu ends? They will also want to finalize the cabinet reshuffle. As I said, this is a state that's up for polls. The opposition is also using this as an opportunity as the infighting continues. How do you put a rest to that? They will want to seal organizational changes as well. So a lot to discuss as far as this meeting is concerned. But as we said, of course, this becomes very important because this is not the first time that we're seeing the captain is in Delhi. In the last 3 weeks, this is his second visit, and the last time around he didn't get an audience with the Gandhis. But on the other hand, you had Navjot Singh Sidhu, who put out these pictures on Twitter, and we're putting those out on our screens as well. He met with Priyanka Gandhi as well as Rahul Gandhi. Pankaj is now joining us with more details. Pankaj, ये मीटिंग बहुत क्रूशल होगी क्योंकि लास्ट टाइम अराउंड जब चीफ मिनिस्टर दिल्ली में थे तो उनकी एक वन-ऑन-वन मीटिंग नहीं हुई थी. नवजोत सिंह सिद्धू के अटैक्स आते जा रहे हैं, एक पावर आउटेज क्राइसिस है, काफी कुछ है डिस्कस करने के लिए.
देखिए, सबसे पहले दर्शकों को बता दें कि चंडीगढ़ में कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह का हेलीकॉप्टर तैयार है. थोड़ी देर में जो है वो दिल्ली के लिए रवाना होंगे और 3 से 4 बजे बताया जा रहा है कि सोनिया गांधी के साथ मुलाकात जो है वो कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह की हो सकती है. और नवजोत सिंह सिद्धू भी कल से दिल्ली में ही मौजूद हैं. पार्टी आलाकमान की कोशिश है कि इस कांग्रेस के क्लेश को जल्द से जल्द खत्म किया जाए और एक फॉर्मूला पार्टी आलाकमान ने तैयार किया था कि सिद्धू को डिप्टी सीएम लगाया जाए और सिद्धू ने इस फॉर्मूले को मना कर दिया. सिद्धू का कहना था कि वो कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह के अंडर काम नहीं करना चाहते और इसलिए वो डिप्टी सीएम आखिर के 8-9 महीनों के लिए बनना नहीं चाह रहे. और दूसरा फॉर्मूला पार्टी आलाकमान ने तैयार किया, जो सोर्सेस बता रहे हैं कि सिद्धू को कांग्रेस का प्रदेश का अध्यक्ष लगा दिया जाए, जिसको लेकर कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह राजी नहीं है. कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह ने 2-3 तर्क पार्टी आलाकमान के सामने रखे हैं और आज सोनिया गांधी से भी बातचीत में ये बात रख सकते हैं कि नवजोत सिंह सिद्धू भी जट भाईचारे से आते हैं और कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह भी जट भाईचारे से आते हैं. दोनों पटियाला के लीडर हैं और ऐसे में हिंदू और दलित चेहरों को नजरअंदाज नहीं किया जा सकता. तीसरा, कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह आज सोनिया गांधी के सामने कह सकते हैं कि जिस तरह से नवजोत सिंह सिद्धू बयानबाजी कर रहे हैं, एक के बाद एक हमलावर हो रहे हैं, ऐसे में अगर अध्यक्ष उनको बनाया जाता है तो पार्टी का नुकसान होगा. और ऐसे में कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह को मनाया जाए तो पार्टी एक फॉर्मूला ये भी तैयार कर रही है कि सिद्धू को अध्यक्ष लगाया जाए और इसके साथ साथ 2 एक्टिंग प्रेसिडेंट, एक हिंदू और एक दलित लगा दिए जाएं जो कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह की पसंद के हों. तो ऐसे में 3 बजे जब मुलाकात होगी तो कई मायनों में अहम मुलाकात है कि 2022 में कांग्रेस पंजाब की कमान किसके पास होगी. क्या कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह चेहरा होंगे या नवजोत सिंह सिद्धू का कद बड़ा किया जाएगा.
जी, Pankaj, I request you to stay on with us. Pallavi Ghosh is also now joining us, a senior editor who tracks developments coming in from the Congress very closely. Pallavi, good morning. Now, as Pankaj was also pointing out, Navjot Singh Sidhu has already been in the national capital for the last 2 days. The captain will be having a meeting with, of course, the top brass today. Is it possible then we could also see both these leaders being called for a meeting with the top brass in the coming days to try and slash out the differences really face to face?
I think that would be asking for a bit too much. Navjot Singh Sidhu has already gone before the three-member panel. He's also had a meeting with both Priyanka Gandhi, Vadra as well as Rahul Gandhi, but not with Mrs. Gandhi. But Captain, as the Chief Minister, meeting the interim president of the party naturally takes the entire issue top up. The point is, Ridhima, he's a sitting Chief Minister. Very important calls will have to be taken. The ground report which the top leadership has been getting from Punjab is not very good. Not just the MLAs are angry, in many of the rural constituencies, the fact that the Chief Minister and his team have not been touring has also led to a substantial amount of anger. That's one. The second feedback also that the top leadership, which is something which Mrs. Gandhi is likely to put before the captain, is also that Akalis plus the BSP combination. Akalis till a few weeks back were completely on a back foot over the farm laws. They seem to have covered up a little bit of a ground on issues of power outage and also your combination with the BSP, because Dalits played a substantial role for the Congress to come to power in the state in the last assembly election, but there are only 3 Dalit ministers in the cabinet. That is something which could help the Akalis plus the BSP combined. The third important factor is something which no one should underestimate, is the growing of Aam Aadmi Party, which is something which even Mrs. Gandhi could take up with the captain. You know, in all the defense of the captain that he remains the strongest face, there's also a harsh reality that his style of working is somehow finding no resonance on the ground. MLAs are angry, they are worried how are they going to go back to their constituencies because their voters are angry. Many voters are angry and they talk about the missing chief minister. The perception which has built up is that the Punjab government runs through the bureaucrats and MLAs often have to wait for months to get an appointment with the chief minister. The inaccessibility of Captain Amarinder Singh is another topic which is likely to come up. It's going to be important to see what really happens in the meeting. Will Captain only talk and talk about Sidhu and will Mrs. Gandhi only listen to that? Or Mrs. Gandhi make it very clear to Captain that you'll have to step down, you have to make way for another leadership. I think in any case, the perception has gone down to the ground, Ridhima, that the captain is almost on his way out.
Yeah.
And he's not going to be the face in 2022, as a poll panel report has suggested. And that certainly puts him on a back foot. And more importantly, Punjab Congress is certainly not in a good situation in the state anymore.
Right, Pallavi, even if we believe that, Captain Amarinder Singh will not be the face as far as the next, elections are concerned, the biggest concern is what happens immediately. This is a state that's up for polls. Between this back and forth and infighting, it's like the larger issues are being completely neglected. Let's talk about the power outage that we're seeing playing out for the last couple of weeks. I mean, as you were also rightly pointing out, the Aam Aadmi Party is also leaving no stone unturned. Yeah.
Yes. So that's anybody's guess, and I'm saying it for a reason because there's some who feel that Mrs. Gandhi should actually ask Captain to step down and redeem the situation 6 months before the polling takes place in February. But that's a catch-22 situation. If you ask someone like Captain Amarinder Singh, who's a powerful face of the Punjab Congress, to step down, the game is over according to his supporters, and it's going to be a terrible situation. On the other hand, if you don't ask him to step down and you ask him to continue but make it clear in 2022 he's not going to be the face, then he's in any case a weakened chief minister who's going to be the face of his party, at least during the campaign. Now, to come back to your question on power outage, yes, that's a huge point of anger even within the top leadership, because remember, this was one of the poll promises: free electricity, shorter bills, and a cheaper electricity is something which was promised. And just when the Congress party was forcing Captain that you have to announce it soon, you have an Arvind Kejriwal who upstage him and he goes to Chandigarh and holds a press conference and announces this. And also, this is a sowing season in Punjab for the farmers, and it's an agrarian state. For the farmers, this is certainly going to be a very key issue. The farm law agitation may soon be forgotten, but the immediate concern of the farmers that they have to pay a whopping electricity bill, plus the fact that they are not getting power, is a political issue which certainly the Akalis and the Aam Aadmi Party would want to whip up.
Right. Pallavi, I'll request you to stay on with us. We're also getting some live visuals now coming in from Chandigarh, where we can see that chopper is all ready for Captain Amarinder Singh, and he's all set to leave Chandigarh to come to Delhi for this very, very crucial meeting. As we continue to stay with these visuals, I want to go back to Pallavi. Pallavi, as we said, there are multiple issues to be discussed with the top leadership when the Chief Minister is in Delhi. And of course, as we're putting out those visuals, that'll happen very, very soon. What's the word that you're picking up as far as the finalization of the cabinet reshuffle is concerned?
be something which I think Mrs. Gandhi would want to discuss with the captain. The need to have a more balanced caste combination. As I said, the BSP plus the Akalis tie-up means Dalits are going to be given importance. Will there be a deputy chief minister from the Dalit community? Should there be a win for the Akalis plus BSP? I think the Congress would want to checkmate that. So if you are going to talk about two deputy chief ministers, one of them perhaps could be a Dalit, one of them could be a Hindu, to get the caste combinations right. As I said, that Dalits played a very important role to the victory of the Congress party in the last assembly elections. And there are only 3 Dalit ministers over there in his cabinet. That could change. So the nitty-gritty of the cabinet reshuffle, the all-important question is about the new PCC chief. That's also something which could be discussed with. But I think the immediate concern is how to redeem the image of the party in the state. The fact is that there is an anger among the voters plus some MLAs with the captain, yet you cannot do without the captain. So it's a choice between the devil and the deep sea for the top leadership.
Right, Pallavi, I'll request you to stay on with us. I want to quickly go back to Pankaj as well. Pankaj, आपके sources आपको ground पे क्या बता रहे हैं? नवजोत सिंह सिद्धू भी दिल्ली में होंगे, कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह भी थोड़ी देर में दिल्ली पहुंचेंगे. क्या ऐसा हो सकता है कि नवजोत सिंह सिद्धू के साथ भी एक और मीटिंग हो सकती है टॉप ब्रास की? क्योंकि जब तक ये इनफाइटिंग नहीं खत्म होगी, ऑप्टिकली कांग्रेस के लिए काफी डैमेजिंग है ये.
देखिए, नवजोत सिंह सिद्धू अपनी बात पार्टी आलाकमान के सामने रख चुके हैं. उन्होंने 2 अहम बातें पार्टी आलाकमान के सामने रखी हैं. एक तो 18 पॉइंट का उन्होंने जिक्र किया कि अगर 2022 में पंजाब में कांग्रेस ने फिर से वापसी करनी है तो 18 पॉइंट पर मुख्यमंत्री तुरंत कार्रवाई करें. और हमने देखा था कि जब हरीश रावत और कमेटी के सामने कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह पिछले 2 हफ्ते पहले पेश हुए थे, तो हरीश रावत ने कहा था कि ये 18 पॉइंट्स पर, जिसमें बेअदबी था, जिसमें बरगाड़ी था, जिसमें ट्रांसपोर्ट माफिया था, जिसमें ड्रग्स माफिया था, उस पर जो है मुख्यमंत्री एक्शन लें और उसके बाद प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करें. और दूसरा, नवजोत सिंह सिद्धू ने जिक्र किया था कि वो कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह के अंडर काम नहीं करना चाहते, यानी कि जो डिप्टी सीएम की ऑफर थी वो नवजोत सिंह सिद्धू ठुकरा रहे थे. तो ऐसे में सिद्धू को जिम्मेदारी क्या दी जाएगी? सिद्धू अध्यक्ष बनाए जाएं. प्रियंका गांधी ये चाहती है कि सिद्धू को अध्यक्ष लगाया जाए, क्योंकि वो कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह के कद का जो ओहदा होगा, और इसके साथ साथ नेक्स्ट सीएम भी नवजोत सिंह सिद्धू को फेस के तौर पर उतारा जाए, ये भी एक कांग्रेस का ग्रुप चाहता है. लेकिन दूसरी तरफ जिस तरह से कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह की कार्यशैली है, जिस तरह से 2017 में कांग्रेस की बजाय कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह के नाम पर चुनाव पंजाब में कांग्रेस ने जीता था, उसमें 80 सीटें आई थी और पहली बार 80 सीटें आई थी. लेकिन अब हालात बदले हैं. अब 80 में से 50 के करीब ऐसे विधायक थे जो पार्टी कमेटी के सामने पेश हुए, तो उन्होंने जिक्र किया कि अफसरशाही पंजाब में हावी है, कैप्टन को ड्रग्स पे, बेअदबी पे काम करना चाहिए, वो नहीं किया गया. लेकिन कोई दूसरा चेहरा किसी भी विधायक ने नहीं बताया. और कुछ लोग ऐसे हैं जो चाहते हैं कि कैप्टन की बजाय सिद्धू को फेस के तौर पर जो है वो मैदान में उतारा जाए. तो ऐसे में कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह जब सोनिया गांधी के साथ मुलाकात करेंगे, वो अपनी बात रखेंगे कि सिद्धू जिस तरह से बयानबाजी कर रहे हैं, चाहे बेअदबी को लेकर हो, चाहे बिजली को लेकर हो, चाहे ट्रांसपोर्ट माफिया को लेकर हो, इससे कांग्रेस का नुकसान होगा. अगर सिद्धू को अध्यक्ष कराया जाता है तो इससे पार्टी का भी नुकसान होगा, इससे सरकार का भी नुकसान होगा. ये कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह बात रख सकते हैं. और कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह पिछले दिनों में लगभग 2 महीने पहले ये कह चुके थे कि नवजोत सिंह सिद्धू के लिए मेरे दरवाजे बंद हैं. सिद्धू जो है वो बीजेपी और आम आदमी पार्टी के इशारे पर काम कर रहे हैं. और ऐसे में कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह की कोशिश होगी कि सिद्धू को अध्यक्ष ना लगाया जाए, इस बात को लेकर पार्टी आलाकमान को राजी किया जाए, उनको मनाया जाए. और कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह के पास ये तर्क है कि हिंदू और दलित चेहरों को नजरअंदाज नहीं किया जा सकता.
Okay, so we're of course getting those live visuals also now coming in. The chopper has taken off with the captain, and he of course will be landing in Delhi shortly for that very, very crucial meeting. So I want to go back to Pallavi. Pallavi, I also want to talk about in terms of the restraint that we've seen by the Chief Minister himself, despite these public attacks that have come in from Sidhu over the last few weeks, open interviews as well, on Twitter as well. The captain has not gone ahead and given any personal attacks as far as Navjot Singh Sidhu is concerned. But also fair to note that this probably will not last very long. So if there is not an immediate solution, then this could only be downhill from here on.
Yes, but you know, they have both not made any bones about the fact that we just don't get along together. And the captain is normally one who is very quick to rebut those who question him. And that also includes Navjot Singh Sidhu. But if you notice, this whole advice of exercising restraint on Sidhu has not really worked, because just a day after meeting with the Gandhi siblings, you have Navjot Singh Sidhu with repeated tweets actually attacking and raising an issue which even the Akalis as well as the Aam Aadmi Party are constantly raising. So he's now trying to become the face of the opposition within the government of Punjab, but more importantly raise those issues which he says that many of the critics of the captain also agree is not being understood or raised by the captain, which is a power shortage. That is one issue over here. But what the captain is likely to make a point to Mrs. Gandhi is that when you're just a couple of months away from elections, to make public statements against your own government actually helps your opponents, and it makes it very difficult for Punjab Congress. And the captain has not said a word against Sidhu in the last couple of weeks. He in fact has not even held a press conference, which he was advised by the three-member poll panel to do so. These are the points which are likely to come up on the platter whenever that meeting takes place between the captain and Sonia Gandhi.
Pallavi and Pankaj, thanks for getting us those details. We also have Harjit Singh Grewal of the BJP now joining us. Harjit Singh, जैसे हम ये इनफाइटिंग देख रहे हैं कांग्रेस में, सिद्धू ओपनली अटैक कर रहे हैं चीफ मिनिस्टर के लिए, ऑपोजिशन इसको एक अपॉर्चुनिटी की तरह यूज कर रही है. आप हमें बताइए आपकी ग्राउंड अंडरस्टैंडिंग क्या है, चैलेंजेस क्या है आज पंजाब के लिए?
एक तो सबसे बड़ी बात क्या है कि इसका नाम पंजाब कांग्रेस पार्टी नहीं, पंजाब कलेश पार्टी रखना चाहिए. लोग तो प्रॉब्लम फेस कर रहे हैं, ये झगड़ा कर रहे हैं, कुर्सी की लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं. तो इनको सत्ता की लड़ाई है, लोगों की चिंता नहीं है. लोग यहाँ ड्रग्स का बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ावा हो गया है, नशों का, और उसके साथ ही बिजली की बहुत बड़ी समस्या है, और किसान को भी है, आम लोगों के लिए भी है. 8-8, 10-10 घंटे नहीं आ रही. और उसके बाद यहाँ मुलाजिम बहुत बेचैन है और सुसाइड अटेम्प्ट कर रहे हैं. और इसी तरह हर वर्ग के अंदर दलितों पे अत्याचार हो रहे हैं, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की स्थिति ठीक नहीं है. तो ये दिल्ली में घूम रहे हैं. पिछले 2 महीने से इनका ये झगड़ा चल रहा है. तो इन्होंने एक दूसरे को खुद ही एक्सपोज कर लिया कि इलीगल माइनिंग के लिए, बाकी सब चीजों के लिए हमें बहुत ज्यादा बोलने की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ी. और लोग तो इंतजार कर रहे हैं कि ये हमारे पास आए वोट के लिए और हम इनको जवाब दें इस बार. तो इसलिए ये पंजाब की तो इतनी बड़ी दुर्दशा है. जब लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की ऐसी समस्या हो जाएगी तो बेरोजगारी बढ़ती है बहुत ज्यादा, और इंडस्ट्री यहाँ से पलायन भी कर रही है, इंडस्ट्री नई आ भी नहीं रही. ऐसी पंजाब की स्थिति इन्होंने कर दी है. लोग आने से घबरा रहे हैं.
Okay. Harjit Singh, we leave the conversation there. We'll of course keep a close eye on all those developments coming out of Punjab and that very crucial meeting as well. But shifting focus to some breaking developments.